This will add tons and tons of flavor to your cooking. Hello beautiful people, and welcome to a new video. If this is your first time seeing me, this is Mecca. This is Mecca's Garden and Healing Journey, where I share about healing with food and growing your own food. Now, if you struggle with making your food delicious and tasty without MSG or artificial sweeteners and artificial flavor enhancers, this video could really benefit you. I'm going to teach you how you can naturally enhance the flavor of your food with things like herbs. Now, herbs are in abundance in season. You don't have to grow yours. You can buy them. They're cheaper this time of the year. But if you want to grow them, they're really easy. Like, look, I got all this today. Guys, if I was to be buying all these herbs, my goodness, I probably wouldn't even find things like oregano flower. Did you know oregano flower is the most flavorful part of the oregano? So that's why I like using it. This one comes with a bomb. Herbs, for one thing, are one of the easiest things to grow. These oreganos were propagated from seeds, but it spread so quickly. I have them in so many locations, and it's so good for pollinators and also for your cooking. Okay, Italian cooking, oregano. That's why you have Italian pasta sauce tasting differently. Tarragon. I don't have a lot of tarragon in my garden, but if you have tarragon, if you have access to fresh or even dried ones, I actually have some dried ones in the cupboard, it's gonna be so good. Now we have some basil. Basil is really good. It tastes and smells amazing, and you can add it to this herbal salt. You also have parsley. Guys, there is no hard and fast rule. As the more the merrier. That's the only secret. Like, the more herbs you can get hold of, the merrier. So if you can get more variety, I would say yes. And then we have thyme. Now, thyme, it's a lot of work to get rid of all the leaves. So yeah, it's one of the things you can add. And then my secret. Now this, you can substitute this with celery. Okay, if you don't have this is Lovage. I share with you guys about how I make Lovage powder. I have a video, I'll probably include it. Lovage is also one of those easy herbs to grow. It's perennial in the UK. It comes back year after year. The Indians call it ajwain, and the seeds of Lovage come like this. You can actually dry the seeds. You can find the seeds easy to buy. And then I have sage. I actually should get some more sage from the garden. I don't have a lot here. Fennel. Fennel is also delicious in this herbal salt. Guys, you can cook anything you want with herbal salt. Finally, I have green garlic. Now this is baby garlic or garlic leaves that I saved. That's why it's in the freezer bag. It was frozen. So if you don't have some of these things, do not worry. You can just use basil, you can use thyme and parsley, and you have a flavored herbal salt. You don't have to necessarily use one particular herb or the other. Just what you have available to you, blend it, and you will produce the best herbal salt. I'll talk to you about the benefits of different types of salt. So I'll show you the salts I use. The salts you use are important. I have a video sharing about the salts I use and why I use them. This is my favorite. This is called, it's a Celtic sea salt. That's just been decanted into this container. It looks a bit gray. It's different from a normal sea salt, but these are all natural. The reason I prefer sea salt to, table salt is because it has no additives. It wasn't made in a lab. Obviously, it might not have as much iodine as the lab manufactured, but sea salt is rich in minerals. Celtic, for instance, is one of the richest sources of minerals, and it's actually free from a lot of microplastics and pollutants. Another salt I use quite often is Himalayan pink salt. Now, Himalayan pink salt, the only reservation I have with it is that it is highly, adulterated. There's so many counterfeits out there. Otherwise, Himalayan salt are one of the purest forms of salt and also has micro trace elements and minerals in them. So these are the salts we will be using. There is no measurement. This is one of the beauties of making your own herbs and concoctions. You may do whatever you want and then just use them as you like, as they flavor your food. The other benefit of adding herbs to your salt is it reduces the amount of salt you eat. So we know that high sodium intake has been associated with high blood pressure and so many other cardiovascular diseases, and it's also not good for the kidneys. So that's one of the reasons why we recommend you actually reduce your salt intake. But then Using MSG is not a better alternative because it's a neurotoxin and it's not good. It passes the blood-brain barrier. Research and studies have shown that it does, so I would not recommend using it. I stopped using it a few years ago. When I stopped using MSG, I struggled with the taste of my cooking. Yes, and my family. And still, sometimes now I might cook something and it'll be like a bit off because maybe I was just in a rush. But I have learned how to make my meals really delicious without any additives. Anyway, that is just a bit of an encouragement to you out there that you can improve your cooking without MSG by using herbs. So look at the variety of herbs here. Yes, you won't taste one particular herb. You will have them enhancing your food so naturally that your mind will just be, your taste buds will be like tingling. What exactly is in here? And it's like, ooh, I like this. Trust me, you will like it. So we start with a blender. Some people use a food processor, but I prefer using a blender because I want everything really smooth and pureed. So I'm going to start with the soft ones because they will blend quite easy. So the basil, and these ones don't have woody stems. If you have woody stems on your basil, just take them out. All we want here is the greenery. We want this thing to just be herbs and nothing else. Blending without water might require you going in and just mixing it up because it generates a lot of heat at the bottom and we don't want to cook our herbs yet. We want them fresh and fragrant, okay? It's looking really good. We have a beautiful paste and a kitchen. My kitchen smells so good. Now that is the paste. Try to ensure that you don't use too much heat because the heat would degrade your herbs quickly. We start with the salt. We add, I should show you what I'm adding. I've added salt in there and then you mix it all up. Mix and then I'll add more salt as I go along. So you just keep adding and mixing. We just want to infuse the salt and the herbs together. I've got parchment paper. Ideally use a double layer of parchment paper, okay? And then we're gonna spread this thinly as possible because if it's too thick, it will take too long to dry. If you are dehydrating with your oven, ensure you use very, very low heat. So my oven is a manual fan, so I can use it, dial it between 50 and it's fine. It depends on what your oven settings are, or you can just use a dehydrator to be safe, okay? But I have used my oven for years. The oven works better than a dehydrator. So spreading it as thinly as you can. I'm using that to make sure this doesn't move around whilst I'm spreading. So we'll let this dehydrate for maybe a day. It takes a long time to dehydrate. Whilst it's dehydrating, I'll go in and keep turning it. And then when it's dry, I'll show you what it looks like. So keep watching. And if you haven't yet, like the video. I appreciate it. And also, if you also haven't, kindly subscribe. I appreciate your subscription. And thank you for joining me. Sometimes these videos or the tutorials might be long, but I don't want you missing details. I want you to see everything. So let me share with you what it looks like. It's been dehydrating for over maybe 24 hours. Yes, it's because it's a big batch. So we've got 3 layers in the oven here. This is the first batch. The first batch, since the salt has dehydrated, make sure it's very dry before you get to this point. Now I like using the food processor here. So I don't use a food processor in the beginning. I like using it here at this stage. And all I do now is just pick up your tray and tip the whole lot in. So just a few pulses is all you need. And we've ended up with that. Okay. I will still go ahead and I would recommend you dehydrate this further because you don't want to run the risk of having it's not fully dried. The clumps might not be very dry inside. Okay, all back up here. This will add tons and tons of flavor to your cooking without the need to season it artificially. We've come to the end of the video now. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking and also subscribing if you haven't yet. Share your comments on your tips for your herbal salts. Like for me, my biggest secret is Lovage and green garlic. It could be anything, but those fragrant herbs really impact a good flavor into the salt and impacts a flavor into the food, and it doesn't actually overpower the food, so it's really versatile. But it could be anything else. Let me know what you like using for your herbal salt, and I'm sure people will benefit in the comment section. Anyway, thank you so much once again. I don't take you all for granted. Let me know what videos you'd like to see on this channel, on the things we do at home, at the allotment, and until next time, I'll see you in another video. Bye bye.